Are your specialist employee B? Specialist employee B is the person with the course of the regular job to with the who works with the training that has with the specific chemical name for the individual area with the specification of the employee with the education training the work training with the special employee with the call upon the responding incident involved with the chemical and containers. Specialist employee B can gather the recorded information, provide the technical assistance, provide a technical assistance, including the work of the warm hot zone, the instant consider the emergency response plan with the standard operating procedure. Specs B, the specialist employee B with the analyzing incident that provide the interpreting information have the specific material what the master give the chemical for the individual area with the specification continuing corresponding material safety data sheets other resources for the specific employee B to provide the instant command with the chemical they have the harmful effect for the specific have the material what the master structure potential consequences based for the incident shall meet the following requirements. Give the specific chemical identify the interpreted following the hazard for the information physical chemical property physical hazard chemical including fire explosion have the help of the the chemical sign with the symptom of exposure roads of the entry of the personal exposure limit reactivity have the environmental or concern. They give an example of specific has the material weapon mass destruction as necessary with the resource for the potential behavior that has material weapon mass destruction based on damage found included the consequences of the behavior. Identify the general type that has the information available for the other source identified by the organization emergency response plan and standard operation procedure provide the information character the specific container specific habit the weapon master destruction the solution employed the shall provide the instant with the command with the character of the potential behavior of the containers shall meet the following requirements. Give the example of the containment special habit the weapon and material weapon mass destruction for the purpose of the operation closure found in the container. Give the chemical container a list of the type of the damage that could occur. Give the example of the containment specific habit the material weapon mass destruction necessary reason for the particular potential behavior of the container consequence based on damage found. Give the emergency response plan standard operation procedure identify the resource that include the method of contact with the knowledge of the design construction damage assessment containment that has material weapon mass destruction. Provide information concentration have the material weapon mass destruction. Give the applicable monitoring of the equipment to provide the organization to have the chemical available to provide the capability of the diversion modeling exposure model with the specialist employee B to provide the instant command with the concentration and relief of the chemical the implication of the information identify the applicable monitoring equipment and use the monitoring equipment provided the organization to determine the actual concentrate for the specific chemical to give the concentration of the chemical the interpretation significantly the concentration information the incident of the relative have the harmful with the effect of the chemical demonstrate the field the calibration testing procedure that is necessary monitoring equipment that provided by the organization give the emergency response plan standard operation procedure identified the resource included method of the contact capable of providing monitoring the equipment dispersion model the monitoring surface and planning of the response. Specialist B provided the interpretation information have the specific material the weapon master specific chemical with the individual area of specialization and the corresponding material safety data sheet with the resource for the specialist CV the show the provide the instant command with the chemical that have the harmful effect of the special have the weapon material the weapons where that's restriction potential consequence based on incident that shall meet the following requirements because the specific chemical with the concern corresponding with the material safety data sheets identify the interpreted precautions for safety handling including hygiene practice with protective measures cleaning up the silicon leak with the available Apple control measures including the personal protective of the equipment emergency first aid procedure information give the emergency response plan standard operation procedure identify the additional resource for the interpretation have the application respond to information have the material to describe the various limitations potential response option for the specific chemical give the emergency response plan standard operation procedure identify the resource include the method of contact capable found with the containment of the heads of waste have the material remove the containment of the head material clean up the disposal of the head material weapon master destruction came with the weapon master destruction provide information for the personal equipment requirement of the specific chemical for the individual area of specialization of the corresponding material safety data sheets of the resource of the specific employee will divide the instant command of the chemical have the harmful effect with the specific have the material weapon master destruction potential consequences based on incident shall meet the following requirements. Specific chemical with the corresponding material safety data sheets and for the personal protective equipment to include with the material with the construction capability with the chemical give the emergency response and standard operation procedures and for the other show to include the content capable of the identify the personal protective equipment capable of the specific chemical give the incident involving specific chemical response option for the problem to determine the personal protective equipment that provide with the organization appropriate the options for presented. Argument the specific chemical the employee's individual specialization able to reach whether the special employee shall identify the technical decontamination of the process of the various response options that shall complete the following tasks with the specific chemical with the corresponding material safety data sheets other chemical specific resource to identify the potential of the method for removing the neutral of the chemical to give the specific chemical with the corresponding material safety data sheet chemical specific resource and implying circumstances under the disposal of the contaminated equipment that would be necessary give the emergency response with the standard operation procedure to identify the resource that include the method of contact capable of identifying the potential decontamination method providing information handling disposal regulation give the specific chemical with the employee with individual specialization available resources special employee B shall provide the instant command of the federal provisional regulation to relate with the handling and transportation as well the chemical shall complete the following task give a specific chemical with the corresponding material safety data sheet without the resources and identify the federal provisional regulations applying with handling transportation as well with chemical, specific chemical corresponding material safety data sheets, other resources developed the agency, including the method of conduct responsible to comply with the federal provisional regulations applying with the handling transportation as well with the specific chemical. Give the emergency response plan with the standard operation procedure to identify the resource of the information pertaining to the federal provisional regulation for the handling and disposal of specific chemicals, developing an incident action plan. Give the everything involved in the hazmat material weapon mass exchange contained with the employee with the individual area of the specialist employee B, showing in conjunction with the incident command to develop an incident action plan consistent with response plan standard operation procedure within the capability available reach for the hazard waste material, the weapon mass exchange container, and incident shall complete the following statement. Tab. Give the emergency response plan standard operation procedure, the property development, the incident action plan, the incident role of the response to the incident command system safety control plan, and include the J site safety and control plan with the incident action plan, implementing plan response. Perform the response options specified by the incident action plan with the assessment, the incident command with the employee, the individual area with the specialization B with the perform the actions if it's considered the emergency response standard operation shall complete the following tasks. Perform assess task consistent with the emergency response plan and or standard operation procedure available to personnel, tool, and equipment, including personal equipment, including the following confinement, the activity, containment, the activity product, removal activities, and other factors that can affect the individual's ability to perform the assigned tasks, either the personal product equipment, give the assessment of the employer to individual area with the specialization consistent. Emergency response plan standard authorization procedure specialist employee may be able to complete the following and do the work and do all the correct respiratory protection, protect the clothing for assigned tasks, provide safety consideration, personal wearing, personal protective equipment, including the following body system, backup of the personnel system, the heat of the cold stress, limitation, personal protective equipment, indication of the material degradation, chemical protective equipment, the physical psychological strength of the unaware of the emergency procedure of the handling signals, the procedure of cleaning, sanitizing, inspecting personal protective equipment, provided with the organization, evaluating progress, providing evaluation effectiveness, select the response option events involved specifically have the material weapon mass destruction, name of the hazmat material weapon mass destruction, employee with the individual area specialization, specialist employee with the showed by the instant command with the effectiveness of the selected response option should complete the following task. Identify the criteria of evaluating whether or not the selected response option is effectively accomplishing the objective. Identify the damage that was produced into the withdrawal of the chemical incident. Reporting the documentation of the incident of this area involved they had weapon mass destruction contained with the material weapon mass destruction, the employee with the individual that used the area with the specialization specialist employee B completing a reporting and add subsequent documentation requirements. Even with the emergency response plan standard operation procedure, they shall complete the following tasks and then for the important documentation, including the training records, disclosure record, the incident with the records, critique records involving the hazard material weapon mass destruction, and everything important with the documentation, including the training record, the exposure record, the incident, the report, the critique reports, the incident involving hazard weapon mass destruction, and then for the test, you to keep the activity log of the exposure record, the info, the requirements of the complying, the incident, the requirements of the complying, the hot zone, the entry of the existing log, the for the requirements of complying, the protective equipment logs, and then for the requirements of violence, and accurately maintain records, and then for the sort of the resource of the include the method of the contact knowledgeable of the federal provisional reporting requirements of the hazard weapon mass destruction incident. Or specialist employee A.